Nobody on that last bus knew his name. They just saw him as an old, tired driver. While passengers criticized him, an old news bulletin on the radio changed everything. That's when they realized. 40 years ago, this man's sacrifice had saved all their lives. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure these voices are heard. The clock showed 11:47 p.m. Chicago's last bus route was completing its final round through the snowy streets. The elderly driver, Frank Miller, sat behind the wheel, eyes focused on the road ahead. His hair had turned completely gray, his face bearing the lines of 68 years of life. His hands showed the marks of 42 years gripping a steering wheel. Only 6 passengers remained on the bus. Maria Rodriguez, a nurse coming off the night shift at the hospital, had settled into her seat, exhausted. In the back rows, a young couple was busy with their phones. In the middle sat Robert Johnson, a middle-aged worker staring out the window. At the very back, Emma Thompson, a Northwestern University student, was reviewing her class notes. Frank was focused on getting everyone home safely. At every stop, he would wait carefully, making sure elderly passengers could get on and off comfortably. Tonight was no different. Instead of speeding, he chose safety. "Hey, old man, can you drive a little faster?" shouted the young man from the back. "It's almost midnight." His girlfriend joined in. "Yeah, we're going to miss our connection. Can you please speed up?" Frank glanced in the rearview mirror but said nothing. He just smiled slightly and continued driving. Robert also chimed in. "Sir, I really need to get home faster. I have an early shift tomorrow." Even Maria shook her head. "You've been doing this job for decades, but still drive like a rookie." These words stung Frank's heart. 42 years. Yes, he had been doing this job for exactly 42 years, and this was his last week. He would retire next week. But nobody knew this. Nobody even cared. "Excuse me, sir, can you turn up the radio?" asked Emma. "There's a late-night show I want to listen to." Frank turned up the radio. Soft jazz sounds filled the bus. The passengers relaxed and stopped talking. The clock struck exactly 11:59 p.m. when a voice came from the radio. "Tonight, we have a special memorial program." 40 years ago today, our city witnessed one of the worst train disasters in Illinois history. Frank's hand trembled on the steering wheel. His heart began racing. The radio announcer continued, "November the 29th, 1984. The Chicago-Detroit Express derailed near downtown Chicago, killing 52 people. But that night, one man's heroic actions saved hundreds of lives. Everyone on the bus turned their attention to the radio. Frank's eyes filled with tears, but he kept driving. A city bus driver named Frank Miller saw the disaster unfold and immediately drove to the scene. All night long, he transported victims to the hospital, risking his own life to enter the burning wreckage. Robert straightened up. "Miller? Isn't our driver's name Miller too?" Emma leaned forward curiously. "Sir, what's your first name?" Frank looked in the rearview mirror. Tears were streaming down his face. Frank Miller. The bus suddenly fell into silence. The radio continued. Frank Miller made 31 trips that night, transporting 127 injured people to Chicago General Hospital. Doctors said, without this man, the death toll would have reached 200. But Miller refused any medals, declined interviews, simply saying, "I was just doing my job," before quietly returning to work. The young couple in the back went quiet. Maria covered her mouth with her hand. Robert stared at the driver without blinking. This hero continued the same profession for 42 years. Never bragged, never told his story, just kept driving through Chicago's streets, safely transporting people. Frank Miller is retiring next week, ending his 42 years of service. Emma stood up. Mr. Miller. You're that hero? Frank slowed the bus and pulled over to the side. He placed his hands on the steering wheel and lowered his head. He was crying silently. 42 years have passed, he said quietly. I can never forget what I saw that night. Screams, crying voices. I just did what I could. That's all. Robert stood up and walked forward. Sir, that night. My father was on that train. Frank raised his head. What? My father was Robert Johnson, Sr. He was in the third car that night. His leg was crushed. Then a bus driver took him to the hospital. His life was saved. Dad always used to say, an angel appeared in the darkness. Now Robert was crying too. Dad was always sad that he couldn't thank you properly. He used to say, I wish I had learned his name. Maria also stood up. My uncle was also injured that night. You're all of our hero. The young couple also came forward. The girl was crying. Mr. Miller, we're so sorry. We didn't know. Emma tore a page from her notebook. Mr. Miller, could you please give me your autograph? I'm going to tell this story to everyone. Frank wiped his eyes with his handkerchief. No need, kid. I just did my job. No, Robert said firmly. This silence is enough. Everyone should know what you did. The announcer's voice came from the radio. Silent heroes like Frank Miller are people who do their duty without expecting praise. For them, the greatest reward is knowing others made it home safely. At that moment, Emma pulled out her phone. Mr. Miller, please, can I share this story on social media? People should know. Frank thought, if it helps other people believe in goodness. Okay. It was past 12:30 a.m. The bus was still parked on the side. Nobody wanted to get off. Maria asked, Mr. Miller, how many people have you transported in 42 years? Never counted, Frank said. But they were all precious. Kids to school, fathers to work, mothers to shopping. I tried to get them all there safely. Robert pulled out a business card from his pocket. Sir, I'm a construction contractor. If you need any work after retirement, our door is open. Emma also tore a page from her notebook. Please take my number, too. I study journalism at Northwestern. I want to write your story. The young couple held hands. Mr. Miller, you're invited to our wedding. If it weren't for you, maybe none of us would be here. Frank was smiling now. I've been doing this job for 42 years. But tonight is the first time I've felt this valuable. A final announcement came from the radio. Frank Miller's story reminds us that silent heroes are always among us. While they do their jobs, we should appreciate their value. The bus slowly started moving. This time nobody asked for speed. Everyone was just savoring the moment. At the first stop, Maria got off. As she exited, she turned. Mr. Miller, God bless you. 42 years of service. At the second stop, Robert, Sir, may my father's soul rest in peace. We're grateful to you. At the third stop, the young couple. Mr. Miller, we'll never forget you. At the last stop, only Emma remained. As she was about to get off, she turned. Mr. Miller, I promise you, this story won't be forgotten. Frank was left alone. As he drove the bus to the garage, the radio was still playing. A song began, old, melancholy, but hopeful. After 42 years, on his last shift, He was finally understood. He wasn't just a driver. He was a hero who saved lives, and for 42 years, he had never bragged about it. The next morning, Emma's article appeared in the Chicago Tribune. The silent hero among us, 42-year bus driver Frank Miller. The article went viral on social media. Thousands of people shared it. Comments poured in. I saw this man every day, didn't know who he was. Real heroes are like this. 42 years and never bragged. Respect. A retirement ceremony was held. Hundreds of people came. The mayor, families who survived that night's train crash, thousands of passengers he had transported over 42 years. Frank spoke at the podium. I just did my job. But tonight I learned that sometimes the good deeds you do silently are more valuable than those you talk about. Some people expect praise, some people tell stories. But real heroes silently do their jobs and never expect recognition. Frank Miller was just a bus driver for 42 years, but actually he was a hero who saved lives every day. Do you think there are silent heroes like this among us too? Share in the comments. And if you want stories like this to be told, don't forget to subscribe. Because at Human Stories, we give voice to the unspoken voices. See you in the next story.